After 10 years of love, my boyfriend, now honorably discharged from the military, finally returned to marry me. But while going through his old phone, I discovered 512 gigabytes of messages overflowing with longing for someone else. Even though she had blocked him, he never stopped, sending long letters and heartfelt love confession videos, desperately reaching out. With a bitter heart, I went to the hospital to collect my premarital checkup report, only to stumble upon a scene that shattered everything. There he was, down on one knee, holding a ring, his voice pleading, "Zolan, I gave up my dreams for you. All I ask is that you keep the child. If you agree, we can get our marriage certificate right now." His desperate words, dripping with emotion, only made my decision clearer. Without hesitation, I tore up both the premarital and pregnancy test reports right then and there. If he was so determined to give another woman and her child a home, then I had no place in that story anymore. After I miscarried and ran from our engagement, he let go of the love of his life, Zolan Smith, and their child. He went mad searching for me. And now, in the bustling hospital lobby, Isael, who had always despised attention, had been kneeling for 10 minutes. His tall, unwavering posture reflected his determination to marry. The ring in his hand was exactly how I had imagined it in all those dreams of proposals. "Zolan, please keep the child and marry me. Will you?" he pleaded. Zolan gently touched her stomach with one hand and extended the other toward him. The ring, the one I had once longed for, slipped onto her finger. They embraced, their passionate kiss met with cheers and whistles from the crowd, each sound slicing through me like a blade. I tore up my premarital checkup and pregnancy test reports and walked away. 3 years ago, Isael told me an out-of-wedlock pregnancy would ruin his career, so he abandoned our first child. When he returned to the military, I went through the surgery alone, stayed in the hospital alone, and grieved alone. The child had left 3 years ago, and my love for him had died 3 years ago, too. He never paused for a moment for my child, but for Zolan and hers, he gave up on his lifelong dream. Me and my child? We were nothing but a joke. The child in my womb now felt like an even crueler one. After scheduling an abortion, I got into my car, only to spot Isael and Zolan in the parking lot. "Isael, if you really want to marry me, you have 2 options, either cancel your engagement or make Linnea your bridesmaid." "Canceling the engagement isn't right. I don't want you to be gossiped about." "Then make Linnea my bridesmaid." I eased off the accelerator, curious to see if Isael, the man who was upright, would agree to such an outrageous demand versus prided himself on being moral. "All right, you little trickster. Now you can rest easy and marry me, right?" he chuckled. "But you have to tell her on the wedding day. If she runs away, I won't have a bridesmaid," Zolan added playfully. Isael laughed. "Don't worry, she owes me her life. I protected her for 10 years. Now that I've found someone I want to protect for a lifetime, asking her for this small favor will surely save her face. She'll agree." They leaned against the pillar, kissing as if the world around them didn't exist, shredding what was left of my heart. I took the key out of the ignition and sat in silence, too weak to drive. They kissed all the way to their car, then drove off, leaving me in the wreckage of everything I once believed in. Struggling to keep my emotions in check, I dialed my uncle's number. "Uncle, does your company still hire useless people? I need you to take me in." Surprised but happy, he asked, "You no longer want to wait around for the man you've been holding out for?" I glanced at the pile of Chinese medicine prescriptions I had been taking to prepare for pregnancy, my heart heavy with grief. Getting married and having kids isn't everything. Building a career and being with family, that's what really matters. My uncle, who had witnessed my 10-year marathon of love, teased. "Then I'll arrange your trip abroad. Once you're here, I'll keep you so busy you won't have time to think about anything else. The man you waited 10 years for, a man who promised you a home, how much could he really love you? You were just his backup plan all along. With us by your side, there's no obstacle you can't overcome." Had I not seen those love messages, I would have confidently told my uncle that Isael was my soulmate. But the truth was, those 10 years of love? They were nothing more than a cruel joke. On my way to the hospital to collect my premarital checkup report, I couldn't wrap my mind around the betrayal. But when I saw him proposing to the very woman who had nearly killed me, it all made sense. He had retired from the military to marry her. I had feared for years that during our long separation, Isael might have fallen for someone else, but I never imagined it would be Zolan. And to win her over, he had agreed to humiliate me at their wedding. I was so consumed by these thoughts that I couldn't focus on the road. I slammed the brakes and was rear-ended, gripping the steering wheel. My heart raced in panic. Just then, Isael's call came through. "Linnea, the doctor said you've already picked up the premarital checkup report. Where are you?" The sound of car horns blared all around me, jolting me from my thoughts. I clutched my stomach, too terrified to speak. On the other end of the phone, Isael's voice grew tense. "Linnea, something doesn't sound right. Did you get into an accident?" His worry was unmistakable, but I knew it wasn't because he loved me, it was just his instinct to help others. "I was in a car accident," I said quietly. "Don't be scared." "Where are you?" "I'm coming right now," he exclaimed, filled with concern. By the time he arrived in the passenger seat with Zolan, the traffic police had already handled everything. Isael's relief was obvious once he saw I wasn't hurt, but I couldn't ignore the sight of her sitting next to him. Calmly, I asked, "When did you two get so close?" He knew exactly what Zolan had done to me, yet here she was, by his side. Had he already decided to make me the bridesmaid, leaving him with no need to hide the affair anymore? Isael looked a bit guilty, rubbing his nose as he replied. "Linnea, I went to the hospital to get our premarital checkup report and ran into Zolan. When she heard you were in an accident, she insisted on coming to check on you." I watched them coldly, barely keeping my emotions in check. Then, I asked, "Is she here to check if I am dead?" Isael's face darkened. "Linnea, watch your words. Apologize to Zolan." Zolan, eyes brimming with fake tears, reached for my hand hesitantly. "Linnea, I've regretted what I did for the past 2 years. I know I ruined your dream of playing the piano. It was my fault. Can you forgive me?" After she said those words, Isael nudged me, signaling that I should say something. I turned to him, my voice soft yet cold. "Do you think I should forgive her?" The pain of my severed tendons, the agony of never being able to play the piano again, the loss of my dream, it all flashed through my mind. But I wasn't weak enough to ask him why he had fallen for her. That would make me seem pathetic. Guilt flickered briefly across Isael's face. Zolan made a mistake in a moment of impulse back then. The law already punished her, and she's been remorseful for years. She's apologizing now. Why hold on to the past? A moment of impulse? Was destroying my future just a fleeting mistake for him? The chronic pain I endured whenever it rained was something I was supposed to let go of. Not forgiving her made me petty in his eyes. Back then, Isael had been by my side in the emergency room, holding my hand, sharing in my hatred for Zolan. Now, he wanted me to forgive her. When he reached for my hand to encourage reconciliation, I slapped it away and said bitterly, "Isael, you didn't have your tendons severed. What right do you have to ask me to forgive the person who almost killed me? If Isael hadn't blocked the knife that day, I wouldn't even be alive. Just because he took the blow for me, did that mean I had to forgive her? I wasn't as magnanimous as he wanted me to be." His face hardened, and his tone became authoritative. "Linnea, I'm doing this for your own good. You've always been withdrawn. Zolan was your only close friend for years. Why not bury the hatchet and rekindle that friendship? You have to move forward in life, don't you?" His words were firm, almost domineering, but the warmth and tenderness I once knew were gone. The pain in my abdomen and heart made it hard to even breathe, but I noticed the hidden satisfaction in Zolan's tear-filled eyes. The same satisfaction she had shown when she had gone mad that day. "Linnea, even if you don't forgive me, I'll keep repenting. One day, hope we can be friends again," Zolan said, her voice trembling with feigned remorse. "Get lost," I spat out. I held onto the car door to steady myself, fighting back the pain. But Azael's impatience was evident. Linnea, forgiveness is divine. Zolan has already paid the price. Are you trying to drive her to death? His voice echoed the same concern he once had for me when I was covered in blood after Zolan's attack. Now, that same worry was directed toward her. What had changed? What made him turn against me and defend her? Summoning the last of my strength, I told him. You're right. Either she severs her own tendons or dies. Otherwise, I will never forgive her. The veins in Azael's forehead bulged, his frustration visible. Back when he had called Zolan a vicious woman for hurting me, he had looked the same. She can't play the piano anymore. Do you really need to be this cruel? I don't want a fiancé who's seen as heartless. If you keep holding on to grudges like this, no wonder you don't have any friends. His words, filled with venom, pierced through me. The disgust on his face, how could I have missed it all this time? So, this was what I had become in his eyes, the cold, friendless woman, while Zolan became the misunderstood victim of a thoughtless mistake. The man who once vowed to protect me with his life no longer stood by my side. He was gone. Overcome by pain in my abdomen, I collapsed. Azael caught me just in time and noticed the bloodstains on my dress. His expression softened as realization dawned on him. Now I get it. You're just upset because you're on your period, aren't you? Alright, I won't push you to apologize today, but don't act so unreasonable next time. Barely able to speak, I whispered, take me to the hospital. Still thinking I was suffering from menstrual pain, he rummaged through the car for painkillers. Meanwhile, Zolan knelt before me, putting on a show of guilt. I'm sorry, Linnea. I didn't mean to make you so angry. But before she could complete the act, Azael rushed over to lift her up. Why are you kneeling to her? He scolded her gently. Then he turned to me, his voice sharp. Linnea, haven't you caused enough trouble today? You don't want her to curse herself by kneeling to you, do you? As Zolan feigned fainting in Azael's arms, I saw him panic the way he once did for me, but this time it was for her. While he sped through red lights to rush Zolan to the hospital, I lay on the ground, consumed by the pain and silence. When I awoke after the procedure, my uncle had already arranged a plane ticket for me. The flight was on the day of Azael's wedding. 7 days left, just enough time to leave everything behind. Azael was right about one thing, life moves forward. From this moment on, I would cut myself off from all the happiness and pain of the past. 3 days went by without a word from Azael. He was out of touch, completely silent. Then, unexpectedly, a notification popped up on my phone. Azael, the man who never posted on social media and scoffed at superstitions, had shared a picture of the goddess of mercy, captioning it, praying for peace and safety. Almost immediately, his friends flooded my inbox, asking if I was okay. It was clear he was trying hard to hide the fact that he was switching brides. I replied to everyone, thanking them for their concern, and even liked and commented on his post, saying that sincerity will bring results. It seemed, just as I had expected, he had gone to a church to pray. Like any devoted couple, he and Zolan must have knelt together, making their vows. After making a donation, they took a red ribbon and a love lock. Azael held Zolan close as they wrote their wishes side by side. He tied the red ribbon high on an old tree, and then they went to hang the love lock. When he turned around for a brief moment, I caught a glimpse of his bloodshot eyes, red from worry. It was a look I knew too well. Once, when I was in the hospital, he had stayed by my side, afraid that if he looked away for even a second, something bad might happen to me. Now, that same fear gripped him, but it was for Zolan and the child she carried. It wasn't that he didn't want children, he just didn't want my child. That's why he abandoned me so easily. When I got home, I gave away all the wedding decorations I had carefully chosen to an elderly woman who collected recyclables. In this home, which had never truly been mine, not a single trace of me remained. All that was left were 500 gigabytes of memories stored on my phone, photos and videos of the few happy moments we had shared. I deleted them all, one by one. As the storage on my phone cleared, so did the weight in my heart. Once I was done, I made myself some chicken soup. Just as I was about to take a sip, Isael walked through the door. He cooled the rest of the soup and poured it into a thermos. "Did you make this for Zolan?" "It'll be great for her recovery," he said casually. I didn't bother to correct him that by recovery, he really meant nourishing the pregnancy. Instead, I grabbed the thermos and downed the soup in one go. "If you want some, make it yourself," I snapped. His smile froze in place. "Linnea. You know Zolan was almost hospitalized because of you. And now you're so petty, you won't even give her a bowl of soup?" "Exactly," I said without hesitation. Fuming, Isael threw the empty thermos into the sink and angrily rolled up his sleeves to make a fresh batch of soup for his precious Zolan. While it simmered, he busied himself tidying up the house, but it didn't take long for him to notice something wasn't right. "Linnea, didn't you buy a lot of wedding stuff? Why isn't any of it out?" He glanced around, confused. When he reached for his usual glass of water, he realized even my favorite set of matching cups had disappeared. When I didn't answer, he frowned and came into the bedroom. "Linnea, are you having a rough time with your period? You look really pale." Finally, the ever-observant Isael noticed something was off. You weren't pregnant, were you?" His voice was filled with sudden panic, his eyes searching mine for confirmation. I didn't want to make things more complicated than they already were, so I lied and denied it. The child was gone now, and I didn't need him mourning or offering fleeting compassion. He didn't deserve to end things on his terms. He had lost that right. Relieved by my denial, Isael's face softened. "Weren't you short a bridesmaid?" "I've decided Zolan can be your bridesmaid." "All right," I responded calmly. He looked bewildered, unable to comprehend why I'd snap over a bowl of soup but agree so easily to let Zolan be part of my wedding. But in reality, I was just playing along, biding my time while I planned my escape. Satisfied, Isael gently patted my head. "I'm glad you've come around. All my efforts to patch things up between you two haven't been for nothing." He continued with a soft smile, "Once the wedding is over, I'll take you to see a good doctor. He's amazing at treating menstrual pain." He looked at me with hope. "After that, we'll get you healthy again, and then we can have our own child." I quietly watched him lie, not saying a word. He leaned in and pressed a warm, wet kiss on my cheek. "If you're not feeling well, just stay home and rest. I'll take Zolan to pick a bridesmaid dress, then come back to keep you company." "Okay." He left with a thermos of chicken soup, looking all concerned and thoughtful. Once alone, I stared at myself in the mirror. The spot where he kissed me felt tainted, so I scrubbed at it until it turned red. Only then did I feel slightly less disgusted. A short while later, the bridal shop owner called me in secret. "Linnea, does your husband have a twin brother? Someone who looks exactly like him came in today with a woman to try on your wedding dress. After trying it, he even told me to alter it smaller to fit her. Isn't that crazy?" "No, it's fine. Just do what he said, and have him pay the balance while you're at it." Zolan's intentions were clearer than ever. She had always tried to take what belonged to me. If she couldn't take it, she would try to ruin it. This was no different. The next day, Isael returned home with 2 wedding dresses. I picked up the dresses. "Why don't you try them on?" I gave them a quick, dismissive glance before tossing them aside. I didn't need to look closely to know what was going on. Isael, however, gently stroked the dress that had been altered smaller, his eyes filled with a softness I hadn't seen in a long time. He was lost in thought, likely picturing Zolan wearing it, walking down the aisle to marry him. "Oh, I forgot to tell you," he said suddenly, "it's becoming popular for bridesmaids to wear wedding dresses too. It's supposed to bring good luck." "Sure. Thanks for the effort," I replied, forcing a polite smile. Though I prefer to keep to myself, I'm no fool. My custom wedding dress had been resized to fit Zolan. The other dress, the one in my size, was a cheap, knock-off version. In Isael's eyes, I was apparently only worthy of wearing something cheap, just to make his beloved Zolan stand out even more. When the day of our scheduled wedding registration came, Isael didn't mention it at all. He even took the household registration booklet, tucked it into his pocket, and headed out, though not before stopping by the bakery downstairs to bring me some soup dumplings. Linnea, I bought you breakfast. Make sure to eat well and rest up these next few days. In 2 days, I'll come and marry you. I accepted the breakfast, thanked him, and said okay. Hearing me thank him, Isael stopped in his tracks. Why are you being so polite to me lately? He asked, raising an eyebrow. Are you nervous because the wedding's so close? Pre-wedding jitters? I smiled, playing along. Maybe. He stared at me for what felt like an eternity, then pulled out a chair and sat beside me. He held my left hand, as if there were 1,000 things he wanted to say but didn't know how to start. Linnea, I need to talk to you about something. The hesitation and unease in his eyes made me want to pull my hand away. I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want him to say he wanted to break up. I didn't want him to use the debt of saving his life as an excuse to turn me from his bride into his bridesmaid. Let go. You're hurting me, I said, pulling my hand free. He glanced down and saw my bare hand, no engagement ring, just an ugly scar. Still, he refused to let go. Linnea, what if I told you? His expression was as if he were about to take a leap of faith, and my heart raced with fear. Just then, his phone rang. It was his alarm, reminding him it was time to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Hurriedly, he silenced the phone, flustered and stumbling over his words. Linnea, the engagement ring you liked was bought by someone else. I've ordered a custom one, but it won't be ready for a while. You're not mad at me for messing things up, are you? I shook my head. It's fine. His phone rang again, and with one glance at it, he got up to leave. There are still a few wedding details I need to sort out. I might not have time to be with you these next few days, he said in passing. Once we're married, we'll take the most beautiful photo for our marriage certificate, he added, lying more naturally with each word. Without waiting for a reply, he rushed out. The day before the wedding, he came home again, this time with the household registration booklet and a card. When he handed me the card, I couldn't help but laugh. Is this my dowry? He froze for a moment, then broke into a wide smile, showing all his teeth. This is my sincerity, to thank you for showing up tomorrow. He didn't say what role I would be playing, and I didn't ask. We both knew. He thought that with a breakup fee, I'd obediently step aside and let Zolan take my place at the altar. The next day, I cut that card and the wedding dress into pieces. Then, I packed my things and headed straight for the airport. As the flight attendant announced it was time to turn off our phones, I sent him the message I'd written long ago. Consider your life debt repaid. A second later, his calls started flooding in. I didn't have to guess, I could already picture Isael commanding the room, just like he always did. He was used to giving orders, and I was used to silently waiting and obeying. What he didn't know, though, was that I had stayed behind in this country for him. I could have had a bright future, but instead, my dreams were shattered because of him. As the plane ascended into the clouds, my heart finally began to calm. This time, I didn't give Isael the chance to stop me. I couldn't help but think of the wedding he was probably hosting right now. He wouldn't be like the Isael of 10 years ago, who once stood in front of my mom and uncle, tears in his eyes, confessing his love for me. They say that in your youth, you shouldn't meet someone too dazzling, but I did. I met Isael, and I fell deeply in love with him. Back then, I thought that writing a farewell letter, hiding my feelings, and quietly leaving would end my crush. But just like a hero in my wildest dreams, he showed up at the airport, holding a bouquet of roses, and shouted into the crowd, "Linnea, I love you." His familiar voice called out the confession I had dreamed of hearing for so long, and every fiber of my being trembled in response. "Isael, what did you say?" I asked, my heart racing. Blushing all the way to his neck, he shouted again, this time even louder, "I love you." For him, I stayed in the country alone, even when he joined the military. I believed that as long as we were on the same land, we would always be together. But that illusion shattered long ago. When the plane finally landed, that chapter of my life ended with it. My mom, uncle, and cousins were waiting to welcome me home. Linnea, welcome back. They cheered, holding up signs and flowers as they fussed over me one by one. Mom, Uncle, why all the fuss? I asked with a smile. Mom hugged me tightly, her voice breaking with emotion. My Linnea has lost weight. Now that you're back, I can finally cook all your favorite dishes again. Linnea, we're always here for you, my uncle added, his words full of warmth and support. At that moment, all the hurt and disappointment I had bottled up began to surface. The pain from seeing Azael propose to Zolan suddenly felt more bearable, thanks to my family's presence. My cousin handed me my favorite stuffed animal and a box of tissues. Azael doesn't deserve you, she said gently. Your next boyfriend will be so much better. Yeah, my other cousin chimed in. There are plenty of great guys out there, any one of them would be better than Azael. Their teasing made me smile through my tears. With my family around me, the weight on my heart began to lift, and the pain I had been carrying finally started to fade. Back at home, laughter filled the air. My aunt had prepared a huge feast, and we sat down to eat together. For 10 years, I had always waited for Azael to come home and eat with me. Even though we spent so little time together each year, I clung to those moments, believing they were enough to endure another year of loneliness. Now, sitting at the table with my family, I realized just how absurd it was to sacrifice so much for love. As everyone piled food onto my plate, I let myself sink into the warmth of home. The heart that Azael had emptied was slowly being refilled. After dinner, my mom and uncle exchanged glances, a hint of worry in their eyes. They whispered something to each other, and I caught Azael's name. Only then did I remember to turn my phone back on. As soon as I did, notifications flooded my screen. Over 100 missed calls from Azael, more than he had ever made in the past 3 years combined. Messages poured in one after another. Feeling overwhelmed, I was about to turn my phone off again when his call came through. Linnea, you finally answered, his voice sounded panicked. Where did you go? You didn't pick up, didn't reply to my messages -1 thought something happened to you. His words confused me. He had already married Zolan, so why was he acting like this? Was it the wedding dress? He asked, his voice desperate. Did you not like it? I can get a new one. Or was it the money? If it wasn't enough, I'll work harder and earn more. Just don't disappear on me like this, okay? I frowned, my heart growing colder. Why was he pretending to care now? Did he think my absence as Zolan's bridesmaid had ruined their wedding? Azael, congratulations on your wedding, I said, my voice detached. There was a long pause before he stammered, Linnea, what are you talking about? What do you mean, congratulations? I waited for you at the wedding, but you didn't show up. Are you mad that Zolan was the bridesmaid? Fine, I won't let her do that again. Is that what you want? His voice trembled, and I could tell my disappearance had frustrated him. He was probably more upset about the promise he had broken to Zolan because of me. I glanced at the wedding photos the officiant had sent me, and all I felt was disgust. You really think that after loving you for 10 years, I'd be okay standing at your wedding as the bridesmaid for your new bride? I asked, my voice sharp. I didn't want to be labeled as the other woman, so I left. Is that a problem? I didn't cause a scene at your wedding. Azael. Consider that my last favor to you. He grew even more agitated. Linnea, what are you talking about? You're my bride. Why would I make you a bridesmaid? Is it the ring? The dress? I'll fix everything for you. I couldn't believe his stubbornness. I saw you propose to her, Azael. I saw you promise her a future together as a family of 3. You even took your household registry to marry her. You gave her the ring I picked out. You altered the wedding dress I chose. For your career, you didn't want to keep my child. But for her, you gave up everything. He was silent on the other end, but I continued. You wanted me to be your bridesmaid, Azael, to make it all seem right. You thought I'd go along with it out of gratitude. But I won't, so I left quietly, giving you the perfect wedding you wanted. Shouldn't you be happy? I asked, my voice cold. Why push for more and make us both suffer? I knew there was nothing left for us. Isael and I had become nothing more than a shattered memory. Or do you think I should publicly degrade myself in front of all your guests, confessing that my 10 years with you were just me getting in the way of true love, to prove that your relationship with her is pure? Isael was in a panic, stumbling over his words. Linnea, it's not like that. Please come back, okay? Come home, and I'll explain everything. But explain what? Did he want me to justify my decision to run away from the wedding? Did he expect me to explain why I left Zolan in her wedding dress and diamond ring, only to be ridiculed? If he had truly fallen in love with someone else, he could have just broken up with me. I wasn't the type to cling to someone who didn't want me. Back then, if he hadn't made that grand confession at the airport, I would have kept my crush hidden forever, dancing alone in the world of my piano. If not for him, I wouldn't have had any contact with Zolan at all. Her love for Isael was no less than mine, but she hid it better. She used the video of him rushing to the airport after receiving my farewell letter to become my friend. By staying by my side, she could get closer to him every day. Our classmates joked that our relationship was like a love triangle, and Zolan would blush and shake her head furiously. Naively, I protected her, angrily scolding anyone who laughed at her. And how did she repay me? She mimicked my every smile and gesture, but no matter how hard she tried, she could never truly be me. In the end, her love for Isael drove her to destroy me. Yet, this woman with a heart of stone was the one Isael chose to betray me for. Now that I had stepped aside, he was begging me to come back. How lowly did he think I was, believing I would run back to him just because he called? Linnea, I know I've made unforgivable mistakes, but I didn't marry Zolan. Yes, I crossed a line with her, but the child she's carrying isn't mine. She only got close to me to take revenge for sending her to jail. Linnea, where are you? I've cut all ties with her. I'll come get you and take you home, okay? So their love wasn't as noble as I thought. It was merely a twisted revenge plot. Isael, we're done, I said firmly. He was used to me silently staying by his side, and now, his attempts to win me back seemed desperate. It felt as if he was only trying to minimize his losses after realizing what kind of person Zolan truly was. Linnea, I don't agree that we're done. Have you left the country? If you don't tell me, I'll go find your family and beg for forgiveness. I'll personally set up a proposal for you, get you a massive engagement ring, and take the most beautiful wedding photos with you. I'll give you the wedding you've always dreamed of. We can start preparing for a family right away. Please, come back. His voice cracked when he mentioned wedding, almost as if he were on the verge of tears. After 10 years together, it was only now, after I had completely given up on him, that he was willing to fulfill his promise of marriage. But I didn't need it anymore. I couldn't spend my life with someone who didn't truly love me. I couldn't accept the fact that he had fallen for the woman I hated most and deceived me for 3 whole years. He had always known what I wanted but had never given it to me. Even the child I had tried so hard to conceive had been abandoned by him. Isael, thank you for saving my life back then, but we're over. Clinging to this is undignified. I shouldn't have left that farewell letter for you in the first place. Now, I'm letting go. I wish you happiness. Linnea, I'll find you. I apologize. Please wait for me, and forgive me. Just wait. His persistence left me cold. Take good care of Zolan and her baby, I said. For you and me, the world is vast, we don't need to meet again. I hung up the phone and blocked him. My mother and uncle looked at me with concern after I hung up. However, I felt that by laying everything out with Isael, all the past had scattered with the wind. A new day began, starting with indulging in happiness. The breakfast my mother and aunt prepared was so delicious that I almost wanted to eat the plate, too. In just half a month, I had visibly gained weight. The strength I lost from the miscarriage had been fully replenished. Radiant and full of energy, I followed my cousins to my uncle's company. Being a real blood relative, my uncle treated me like one of his own, never making me feel like an outsider. I thoroughly enjoyed these busy days where I could learn new skills. In the past, I would feel bored waiting for Azael, consumed by longing for him, but now, I was like a sponge eagerly absorbing knowledge about managing the company. My cousins and uncle would watch me working tirelessly at my desk and discuss how to prevent me from overworking myself. Those who truly loved me wanted me to live a fulfilling and joyful life. They took me to all kinds of trendy spots, tried various delicious foods, and attended concerts of different styles, doing their best to fill my days and leaving no room for me to dwell on painful memories. But Azael was different. Ever since Zolan was released from prison, he kept bringing up my left hand, expressing regret that I could no longer play the piano. He lamented how we, once close friends, had become enemies. Each time he mentioned Zolan, I would sink into despair, taking me a long time to pull myself out of that nightmare. We had so many memories together, yet he only remembered the ones with Zolan. Recalling someone who caused me pain right in front of me showed how cruel he truly was. My uncle took us kids to another concert. When the singer announced he would randomly select an audience member to join him for a 4-song medley, my uncle and cousins lifted me up. Sitting in front of the black and white keys again, I felt both terrified and excited. The singer gave me a mysterious smile. "Don't be afraid, I'm here." From hesitant, clumsy notes to barely finishing a piece, the singer patiently followed my rhythm. Music is meant to be enjoyed, not just to win a competition. Those familiar words made me realize he was the same young pianist I had once beaten in a competition. At that moment, I finally understood that I shouldn't imprison myself in the memory of missing out on that world competition, nor should I rely on Azael, who had saved my life. My mind suddenly cleared, and we shared a friendly hug, ending the concert on a high note. Unexpectedly, a member of the audience rushed onto the stage. When I saw it was Azael, I almost didn't recognize him. His face was unshaven, his eyes dark with exhaustion, and his once neat shirt was wrinkled and misshapen. I glanced at Nim and tried to leave the stage from the other side, but he grabbed the singer's microphone and confessed his love to me in front of thousands of people. "Linnea, I love you. I was blinded by foolishness in the past, but please give me a chance to make things right, okay?" The singer frowned and asked me who he was. I shook my head and replied coldly, "Just a stranger I don't know well." Immediately, security came and escorted him away. Even after they took the microphone, he continued to yell at the top of his lungs, begging, "Linnea, I've cut all ties with Zolan. I've even dealt with her child. Please forgive me, I can't live without you." My cousin, who had long been annoyed by him, stormed over and punched him. "If you don't want to live, then go ahead and die. If I see you near my sister again, I'll beat you every time." The security guards threw Azael out of the venue. It was probably the most humiliating moment of his life. Videos of his failed confession and subsequent ejection went viral both at home and abroad. I thought that would make him give up, but instead, he found out where I lived and waited outside my building every day. My uncle had already informed security, so he was banned from entering. One time, during a heavy rainstorm, he collapsed with a high fever after being soaked, then was banned from entering. One time, during a heavy rainstorm, he collapsed with a high fever after being soaked through. When the hospital contacted me, I sighed and decided to go see him. The moment he saw me, his gaunt face lit up with hope. "Linnea, I knew you wouldn't let me suffer. I know I shouldn't have resorted to this pitiful tactic, but I missed you too much. I want you to come home with me." His sunken eyes filled with tears, resembling a dog begging for pity. Without any expression, I told him, "If you keep chasing me like this, Zolan will hunt me down again. Please, let both of us go." Azael didn't give up despite my coldness. "I've handled everything, I don't have any feelings for her anymore." But I only felt disgusted. "You re nothing but an empty promise. The child is a result of your betrayal, and I can't allow myself to get hurt again." In the end, I signed the hospital discharge papers and left, feeling a sense of relief. No longer would I see his distorted face again. At that moment, I heard a weak voice behind me, "Linnea." I turned back to see him standing by the window, his face pale and unsteady. I felt a flicker of compassion and looked him straight in the eye. Just once, please, listen to me. I hesitated, but in the end, I nodded. He fell to his knees and said, "It's all my fault. I shouldn't have hurt you, and I shouldn't have chased after Zolan. Please forgive me. I'll never betray you again." I looked down at him, trying to suppress my bitterness. When you chose her, I had already forgotten the future we promised each other. His voice trembled, "But I love you now." I loved you too, but love isn't enough to fix the mistakes you made. If you truly loved me, you wouldn't have hurt me in the first place. But I was young and didn't know any better. I thought everything would be fine. You rewrite, it's over. I've been hurt too much by you and Zolan. The pain has left scars that won't disappear. I can't pretend everything is fine, nor can I allow myself to be hurt again. He fell silent, and tears streamed down his face. I stood still, gazing out the window at the pouring rain. Isaiah's cries faded into the background as the rain drummed against the glass, drowning out the memories I wished to forget. In the end, I turned to leave. He didn't stop me this time.